Dear listeners of the AUIB FM 101.5, in a world where the spread diseases has become one of the greatest challenges facing humanity, science stands as the first line of defense. And today we host a young mind who did not wait to graduate to become part of this line, but choose to stand at its very core. Our guest led one of the largest university research projects involving over 500 students and 14 professors in collaboration with one of the world's most prestigious research institutions, the Broad Institute of Harvard University and MIT. This research explores how diseases spread using safe, scientific methods without any real-world risk, providing tools that can support scientists today and pave the way for future discoveries that help protect societies before crises occur. Now, as the research undergoes scientific peer review, we welcome the leader of this remarkable project, Yousef, in the segment of Minds and Mike and the Uni Voice show, and to explore the idea, the journey, and the ambition behind it. First, I want to say hello and welcome to Yousef.
Hi, very nice to be here. Thank you.
Yousef, before we dive into the research thing, let's get to know you better. Who is Yousef beyond the academics and research?
Great. Well, I'm a pharmacy student at AUIB. I am a junior, so I'm taking third year courses currently. I joined AUIB in 2024. I've worked in the marketing and communications department before as a student ambassador. I'm currently working as a presenter and programs manager at the American Space. I teach English outside of university, and I'm also looking to shift into a project coordinating position in the private sector.
Well, that's a lot, but it's so great to do this from the beginning, and you were still a student. When did the interest of scientific research begin? Was it planned, or did it happen by chance?
Well, I think it started in the first year of university. I got exposed to a lot of new ideas in biology and in the sciences in general. I've always been a curious person. It's just that this curiosity shifted into scientific research in the first year of university. And I started looking for internships overseas to research internships in universities. And I found that in Iraq we lack a lot of research opportunities, which didn't really give me a good chance at being accepted into these internships. And so I started looking for research opportunities on campus, and I found some, which was great.
So, Yousef, do you remember the first moment you realized this project could become something really big at the university level?
Well, actually from the beginning, because it was, I haven't seen such collaboration with worldwide institutions before at the university, and so I knew that it was going to be something special from the beginning.
So where do you see yourself in 5 years or 10 years later? A researcher, an academic, or maybe a science policymaker?
Well, hopefully a bit of everything. I always like to do multiple things in my life.
Really?
Yep.
Not something specific?
No, I really hate being specific. It's not part of my personality.
You're a multitask person.
Yes, I am. I like to keep my mind on multiple things so that I don't get bored.
Well, good for you. In a simple term, Yousef, for our audience especially, what is the core idea of this research? What were you trying to understand or demonstrate for you and the audience?
Well, in science, if we want to study anything, we have to replicate it a lot of times. We have to study it multiple times. And the thing with pandemics and the spread of diseases is that these things are very rare. They don't occur often. We had the COVID pandemic, but hopefully that was a one-time thing that won't happen until decades from now. So that causes a problem when we want to study this thing, the pandemics. And in order to study them, we have two options. Either we conduct surveys where we measure the beliefs of people,
Okay.
which doesn't necessarily, let's say, we can't conclude from it that the beliefs are going to actually happen. So
Okay.
someone could say, I believe that I should quarantine
Okay.
if a pandemic happens. But that doesn't necessarily say that they actually will. The other thing that we could do is mathematical modeling, where we construct a model and
Okay.
we assume how people behave, and then we run the model.
Okay.
This is also a problem because we're assuming people's behavior. And so the point of the game or the research is that we gamify this thing,
Okay.
this pandemic, and
I
we
remember
simulate
that
it.
at the beginning it was just a game,
It is a
not a
game.
big research. What
Exactly.
happened then?
No, because that's how it was, let's say, planned from the beginning. We simulate the spread of a virus, a hypothetical virus, and people download the app, and they start interacting with each other, and this virus starts spreading between them. And what we did at the beginning was we conducted a survey where we measured people's beliefs about health. Should they quarantine? Should they not? Would they vaccine? Would they not? So that's the first thing that we did. And then we took this survey and we changed the wording so that it actually talks about the game itself. And what this does is that it measures, do people's real life beliefs about health map onto the game? And then we conducted the study. And we made people make decisions every day about quarantining. And they were divided into two groups.
So the beginning was like a marketing for this idea.
Exactly. And they were divided into two groups. One group, so there was a point system where people, once they make the decision every day to quarantine or not, they gain points. The first group, let's say, had a small difference between quarantining or not. So they wouldn't lose too many points if they quarantined. And the second group had a high, let's say, economic cost, where if they quarantined, they would actually miss out on a lot of points. And we tried to see, the hypothesis was that, let's say someone wants to quarantine. Let's say I want to quarantine. If I'm in the first group and the difference between the points is not that much, I'm more likely to actually quarantine because I'm not losing that many points. However, eventually, because the point difference is so much, even if I want to quarantine, the cost is too much for me to quarantine. And I will eventually choose not to quarantine.
That's really interesting. So why is the study of disease spread, I have to ask this question, considered one of the most critical scientific topics today, until today, even after COVID-19?
Well, because in COVID-19, everything was a mess and everyone saw that. And the importance of studying the spread of diseases was really highlighted. And we want to be more prepared in the future. And one part of that is policy making. So what makes people quarantine? What incentivizes them to do that? What makes people vaccinate? What can we do to actually keep people safe? And we want to study these matters, and we try to simulate them. Let's say we simulated here the opportunity cost or the economic cost of quarantining. So at what point do economic costs overcome beliefs? And this is really useful for making policies. So if we have a policy in mind, why not simulate it through a game at a college campus and see does this policy actually work so that we can then implement it?
So what makes this research different from other studies that maybe addresses similar questions?
Well, they do address similar questions, but this is unique because it's a real life simulation. Like I said, it's not just a survey, it's not just a mathematical model. We're trying to see their personal beliefs, and do those personal beliefs actually carry over to the game, and what happens then. And also, we're also assessing how people interact with each other. And so let's say I have the disease, and I say, I'm only interacting with yourself today. But then you will interact with me, I might spread the disease to you. And then you might go to your family and friends, people that I have no idea about.
Yes.
And then you might spread the disease to them. And then your friends have friends that you have no idea about. And so it's a network of connections.
Yes.
And eventually, actually, a really interesting thing that we saw as well is that, like I said, I believe that I should quarantine. If we assess the network, you will find that I am more likely to interact with people that also believe that they should quarantine. And people that believe they shouldn't quarantine are also more likely to interact with people that shouldn't quarantine. This is called assortative mixing in let's say, network science, where people with similar beliefs interact with each other more often, which is a very interesting thing.
It's really interesting to think about that in this way. But how can diseases spread be studied? I mean, I mentioned that in the beginning, without putting individuals or communities at real risk.
Exactly. So that's the point of the study again, is we can't actually put a real virus and start studying that, because that puts people at risk. So the best way to do it is to just say there's a hypothetical virus spreading through people's phones. It's not like the real thing, obviously, because if it was a real virus, you're more likely to actually take it seriously.
Yes.
But this is why we conducted the survey in the beginning, where we assessed people's beliefs, regardless of the study, regardless of the game.
Okay.
So, and then we saw if this mapped over to the game, so that we can get an idea of how realistic this simulation is.
So you're saying that that was the models or scientific methods you used to simulate diseases transmission?
Yes.
Okay.
And
Well-
actually we saw, sorry to cut you off, but we saw that the data that we got was
Okay.
actually very similar to how COVID-19 transmitted. So if we compare the data that we got from this hypothetical virus, we saw that it spread in a similar way to COVID-19, because it was designed, the program of the app was designed this way. It was designed to spread at a specific distance through
Okay.
Bluetooth. So if you came to me, let's say you're like 5 meters away, it wouldn't spread. But COVID-19 has a specific distance, let's say, where it spreads. It also has a specific time that the
Okay.
person is infected.
Okay.
And all these factors were, let's say, implemented in the app.
Okay. So, Yousef, how important was to collaboration with Broad Institute, Harvard, and also MIT? And what did it add to the project scientifically, this move?
Well, the project was actually designed by a lab at the University of Massachusetts called the Collaborate Lab. They work on, let's say, simulations and disease transmission. And they were also working along with the Broad Institute of MIT and Harvard. So they were the main, let's say, drivers of this project. And they run these simulations all over the world. And AUIB was one of the universities that was selected.
Okay.
And it was really, really nice to collaborate with a American university.
Yes, of course.
And we got a lot of opportunities out of it, and hopefully we establish a long-term connection with them.
Really?
and do more research projects and this.
So that was just the beginning.
Hopefully it's just the beginning, yeah.
Okay. So how did you manage to coordinate work among such a large number of students and professors?
Well, it was with the help of a wonderful team. We recruited 15 students to be part of the student leadership team, and we did a lot of marketing, we did a lot of incentivizing. We agreed with restaurants and cafes outside the university to provide discounts for people who participate. It was a lot of hard work.
Yes.
And there were a lot of meetings.
I was about to ask you this question. What was the biggest challenge you faced as a team leader for this project?
Well, this is the first project of its kind at our university. So a lot of the times we didn't really have a specific framework for how we should work, who should we contact, how long are we expected to wait for a certain thing. It was a bit chaotic trying to get things into the university, trying to, for example, organize with marketing to market the campaign, trying to get permissions from security to maybe have a stand-up desk and
Yes.
maybe, let's say, put posters around campus. And so it actually highlighted something really important to us, is that as students, we need to communicate with the university leadership to really set policies up where if in the future we or other students conduct research studies, they have a, let's say, a framework to work with.
That's really interesting. I mean, you deserve all the support for being real with this research and make a lot of effort. So what does it mean to be part, or the research be part of the peer review stage? And why is this step so important for you and this project?
Well, it's really nice to finally have or finally be close to having something published. This is really important as a student, especially. I like to keep my options open for whatever path I go down, and having a published paper is really gonna open up
It means
opportunities
something.
for
You're
me in
still a
academia.
student and you have published scientific research.
Yeah,
Yes.
and peer review is really important. Obviously, any study that's going to be well regarded should be peer reviewed. A committee of scientists that don't know anything about you come and review your paper and critically analyze it, and then you make
Okay.
some final touches according to their recommendations, and then hopefully it will be published in a journal.
Do you have any feedback until now from the peer review?
Not yet. Actually, peer review takes a really long time.
How much?
It could be up to a year, actually.
Really?
Yes, because there's constant communication, and peer reviewers are also professors, and they have a lot of papers coming in. And,
Okay.
Science is a very rigorous task.
Of course, I totally agree. So, Yousef, do you believe that findings of this research could influence future health policies or governmental decisions, maybe locally?
Actually, yeah, that is the point of this game or this research is to influence policy, or let's say policymakers have an idea in mind and then they approach us and we simulate it in a way and we tell them, okay, this might work, and the results showed something which was also surprising. We were trying to see if the simulation actually let's say maps over to real life, like I said, and something that we concluded was that women are more likely to quarantine than men. There's a significant correlation between being a female and quarantining.
Okay.
And this actually, let's say, agrees with previous studies that were conducted.
Okay.
And so this shows that people were actually, let's say, manifesting their personalities, or they weren't being fake in the simulation. They were actually being themselves, which is really nice to see. And we also saw that economic cost acts as a gatekeeper. So what we mean by that is, let's say an individual is very highly motivated to quarantine.
Okay.
If there's not a significant opportunity cost, then they will quarantine.
You're right.
If there's a significant opportunity cost and they are still significantly motivated, they will also quarantine, even if there's an economic cost.
Well, that's
but eventually that will be overcome.
We hope so.
Yeah.
So what message does this research, Yousef, send to the world after experiences like COVID-19 pandemic?
Well, we're trying our best to be prepared for the next one.
Okay. So if you had an access to greater resources, what would be the next step for you and that you want to take it in the research field?
Well, I want... there's another part of this called a project called Operation Outbreak, which is kind of connected to what we did. But this project we can run at schools. Maybe outside of our university, we can run some simulations in schools and also test different things, not just economic cost, but vaccination or wearing a mask or other health factors. That would be really interesting to see.
Yes, it will be a big step for you to deal with all these people outside the university. So what did you personally learn, Yousef, from this experience, not just as a student, but as a leader?
Well, leadership includes a lot of tough decisions. There were a lot of times where, some moral dilemmas, thinking about a decision for 4 or 5 days, sometimes weeks, how to make everything fair. Sometimes you try your best and you really can't please everyone. It's very difficult. Why did you take a
moment of silence before answering this question?
I don't know. I can't say the details, I guess, but
I think it's been a long journey for you.
It has been a long journey, and I learned a lot. I understood leaders a lot more. Being a leader in this project, they make a lot of tough decisions. Sometimes we expect them to be perfect, but they can't please everyone.
Sometimes it's really against your feelings.
It is.
Yes. But you have to be a good leader at the end and do the right thing, not what makes people happy. Finally, what message would you like to share with students who believe that scientific research is too early for them as students?
No, it's never too early. Actually, delaying something until later, until you're ready, doesn't really do much for you, because it's good to overwhelm yourself as a student. I think this is my philosophy being a university student. I try to do everything and get out of university knowing that, you know, I did my best. And actually putting yourself in these difficult situations or these situations where you think you're not prepared really accelerates you and grows you as a person. It teaches you so much more than maybe waiting for later. And you could always be involved. There are a lot of opportunities all the time. You just have to look for them and ask and be really, you know, keep asking.
Keep going.
Yeah.
And keep pushing forward with your journey. I mean, Yousef, thank you so much for this fruitful conversation, and we wish you the best of luck with your mission. And I wish that you have a lot of research that are published in very important places and maybe research papers in the future. Okay. Thank you so much for coming today and be our guest here at the Minds and Mic segment in the Uni Voice show. And if you want to say anything at the end, the mic is yours.
Thank you very much for having me. And
you're welcome.
You know, if anyone is interested in scientific research, always reach out to me, and hopefully we'll have some cool projects in the future.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you so much.